Is so discourteous. This is so outside the committee's guidelines. Taking a personal shot at me while swiping at Biden, very strange and very unprofessional of you.
It all starts with another setup, a classic emotional trap. Madeleine Dean isn't asking, she's accusing. She throws in January 6th dead officers and blanket pardons, not for answers, but for drama. This isn't about justice, it's about cornering Pam Bondi, twisting the narrative, and pushing a woke agenda. But Pam doesn't flinch, and here's how Madeleine just exposed the real face of a Democrat on a mission to shame, not seek truth.
Day one of this administration, I believe you're sincere. You want to protect law enforcement, but your principal, the president, pardoned every single one on January 6th. It rings hollow when you say these words, that if you spit on a police officer, we're going to go after you. Talk to my friends who are Capitol Police officers who were here, 5 of whom are no longer here. They are dead. And this administration, and I guess I want to ask you, did you have any advice for the president when he came forward with the blanket pardon on January 20th? What advice did you offer the president?
This is where Madeleine tries to push interrupting, twisting, forcing her narrative. But Pam Bondi doesn't flinch. No apologies, no justifications, just a clean, cold shutdown. She refuses to play by their rules. And that silence, that's real power. Watch how Pam makes it clear. Madeleine doesn't even deserve an answer.
I am never going to talk about conversations, advice
Were you
in
asked
any
for-
way.
were you asked
I'm
for
never
advice?
going to talk about discussions I've had
Because
or have not had.
you'll
If I
remember-
can answer with the President of the United
Yes or no?
States.
Did you give him any advice, yes or no?
I am not going to discuss any conversations
That's a
that
no.
I have had with it.
And
You just put
your
words in
own
my
word,
mouth. I am
but-
not going to
No, I'm
discuss.
going to reveal your own words.
I am
Just a
not
moment.
going to
Please stop.
discuss
Please stop. This
conversations
is my
that I've
time.
had with the President of the United States.
Attorney
You asked me
General.
a question.
And just when you think it couldn't get worse for Madeleine, she tries to play the victim. Reclaiming time, begging for control, acting like Pam Bondi ruined her moment. But here's the truth. Pam didn't ruin it. Madeleine did that all by herself. And the other members, they saw right through her. This isn't just a failed gotcha, it's public humiliation. Watch how even her own team couldn't back her up.
I would like to reclaim
And
the
you
last
asked
20
me to
seconds.
answer.
I have asked to reclaim my time. Please put 20 seconds back on the clock.
You have an extra 30.
If the general,
She answered and then answered it again and answered it again with a non-answer. I ask for your consideration
if the
of
general
putting time
lady
on.
will let the witness answer the question, we will.
She
proceed.
answered it by saying no. Okay.
Here comes the Democrat playbook in full force. Call the administration corrupt, throw in buzzwords like incompetence and cruelty, and then try to corner the witness with a trap question. Madeleine isn't here to investigate. She's here to label, to accuse, and to create a soundbite. But the real problem? She's aiming high but shooting blanks.
3 hallmarks of this administration are incompetence, corruption, and cruelty. I'm going to focus today on corruption. And in my mind, there are 2 types of corruption: personal, and then the other I'm going to call public, governmental. Attorney General, have you ever been registered as an agent of a foreign principal under the Foreign Agents Registration Act?
And here it is. The moment Madeleine gets exactly what she asked for and can't handle it. Pam doesn't just answer, she exposes. Calmly, clearly, and then hits back with facts Madeleine conveniently forgot. From Qatar to Biden's so-called competence, it all collapses right here. This isn't just a response, this is a takedown, and it leaves the Democrats speechless.
I assume you're talking about when I represented the country of Qatar for a very short time.
The answer is yes. No,
hold
excuse
on.
me.
No.
No.
For anti-human trafficking
Just-
for the World Cup. Anti-human trafficking
Yes or
for the
no?
World Cup.
Attorney
you can't
General.
put words in my mouth.
No.
You want to talk about incompetence? You're the one that
Excuse
said
me.
Joe Biden on PBS was competent. You had to retract those words.
Mr.
So don't
Chairman.
talk to me. Don't insult me publicly.
After getting absolutely shut down, Madeleine does what every cornered Democrat does. She plays the victim. Suddenly it's all discourteous, unprofessional, and outside the guidelines. But let's be honest, she wasn't asking for answers. She was fishing for shame. And when Pam didn't give her that satisfaction, she cracked.
Is so discourteous. This is so outside the committee's guidelines. Taking a personal shot at me while swiping at Biden, very strange and very unprofessional of you. The answer is yes or no, and the answer is yes. you were registered as a lobbyist for Qatar. Is that correct? Yes. Never mind. Don't answer. Did you disclose that when you went before for the Senate for confirmation? Yes or no? No, it was not in your documents. The answer is no. President Trump.
This was discussed at my confirmation hearings in detail.
It was discussed, but you failed to bring up the conflict that you had.
Madeleine's not done. She doubles down with petty jabs and another setup, trying to drag Pam into a headline over a jet. But Pam, she doesn't flinch. She doesn't entertain it. She fires back with one line that brings the whole room to silence. This is how you deal with political nonsense, with facts, with fire, and with zero tolerance for games.
President Trump recently announced he'd accept that $400 million Qatar airplane because it was just prettier than the one he was flying around in. Is it true that you gave advice that this was legally permissible? Yes or no?
I will not discuss any advice that my Office of Legal Counsel gives to the President of the United States on any matter.
When you spoke before the Senate, you said you would ask for ethical advice. Did you recuse yourself from that issue?
And talking about unprofessional, you say the President wanted a jet because it's pretty?
Excuse
Come
me.
on, this is a Senate, this is
He
a
said it
congressional
himself.
hearing.
Madeleine Dean's aggressive tone in the hearing didn't come from a place of seeking truth. It came from a strategy rooted in the same tired Democrat pattern: provoke, twist, then pretend to be offended. What began as a direct attack on Pam Bondi quickly revealed itself as a desperate political act. Dean opened with accusations masked as questions, using emotionally charged language to distract from the lack of substance. It wasn't about oversight, it was about optics. And when Pam didn't play along, the cracks in the Democrat approach became impossible to hide. As soon as Bondi refused to spill private discussions with the president, Dean jumped to theatrics. She didn't want an answer. She wanted a clip to play back on liberal news channels. But Bondi stayed firm, denying her the reaction she wanted. That's when the switch flipped. Dean flipped from aggressor to victim, claiming misconduct and disrespect, pretending her own bullying tactics had somehow been returned to her. The moment Bondi reminded her of previous praise for Biden, praise she herself had to walk back, it exposed just how hollow Dean's grandstanding really was. Then came the fallback, the Qatar distraction. Dean implied impropriety over Bondi's prior role, ignoring the actual work, combating human trafficking. When Pam clarified the reality, Dean cut her off and moved to personal innuendo. It wasn't questioning, it was accusation under the guise of ethics. But the narrative didn't hold. When challenged, Bondi didn't flail. She reminded everyone who was actually playing games. And yet Dean persisted. She brought up Trump's use of a jet, implying vanity, then tried to connect it to Bondi's office in a thinly veiled attack. It was laughable. Pam responded with restraint, stating clearly that she wouldn't discuss confidential legal opinions, standard protocol. But what made it powerful wasn't what she said, it was what she didn't allow: manipulation, distortion, and mock outrage. Throughout the exchange, what became clear was that the Democratic approach had nothing to do with substance. It was theater designed to rattle, not reveal. Bondi's refusal to be baited exposed it for what it was: an attempt to create a scandal where none existed. No facts, just framing. No proof, just performance. This wasn't a hearing, it was a setup, a one-sided political charade, dressed as accountability. But it backfired, because Bondi didn't fold. She exposed the tactics without needing to call them out. And Dean, left without a soundbite or a breakdown to exploit, resorted to the oldest trick in the book: claim unfair treatment and try to regain control through outrage. But by then, the damage was done, not to Pam Bondi, but to the mask the Democrats had been wearing.